Let's introduce ourselves so you can, I know who I'm talking to here.
Guys, why don't you guys go first?
Okay. I'm Orette Bailey. I serve as Director of Advancement at Southeastern Bible College, and my admissions is part of my portfolio.
Okay.
Cody Kilgore, the Associate Director of Admissions.
And what was the first name?
Orrett. O-R-R-E-T-T.
Okay. Okay.
Corey, go ahead again.
It's Cody Kilgore. I'm
Cody,
Associate
sorry.
Director of Admissions. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Alex Granados.
Anyone
and
else?
I'm the president.
Okay. And I'm Mark Smith, and I'm the president at Ohio Christian University. And more importantly, I'm working for Josh today doing the education management. So that gives you a little idea. So well, welcome, and let's just talk about recruitment for a few minutes. And I wanted to make sure you guys understand the ethos of a recruitment culture and what we try to do. First of all, did you say you have a vice president of recruitment over admissions?
No, Director of Advancement.
Okay. Who is over the admissions process solely?
The Associate Director. That's
Okay.
Cody.
Why? Who does that person report to?
He reports. Cody is the Associate Director of Admissions. He reports to me, and then I report to the President.
Okay. Guys, when I go in and explain things to you, don't get offended. So these are things I've learned the last 20 years. So it's great to be with you today. But that's the first critical question I've asked. You cannot ever lead a recruitment and admissions ethos, develop a right culture, unless the person doing recruiting and admissions reports to the president. That's a rule that for 20 years I have never broken, and I've helped set up 12 or 15 other colleges who have done very successful admissions training. And the ethos starts with a direct report to the president, who then, and I'll talk about this later, who then weekly is informed of the number of students, number of leads, number of applicants. But if you don't have that person directly reporting to the president who can make decisions, hear the heart of the admissions person, in fact, here's a philosophy. I will have a vice president of recruiting admissions before I will have a provost, because my life's blood and all of my revenue flows from. And I would like for you not to lightly regard what I'm saying, because you will never be successful until you fix this first problem. So if you really want to grow from 380 like we did, we're now at 5,000 almost, the only way to learn, and that when I was a vice president at Indiana Wesleyan, we grew from 2,000 to 10,000. If I did not have access to the president to ask for personnel requests, to present budget ideas, to present creative ideas, 30 minutes of his time every week for a full-fledged discussion of how we grow the institution, how I could create the urgency for the institution, then I would never have been successful. So I learned that. I've taught that to others. Ken Kemper at Grace has grown from 0 in the Dalton online programs to, 500 or 600 now, Josh?
Yeah, that's correct.
He has followed that pattern. Every successful president that I know has followed that pattern. Are there any questions about that?
No, thank you, Mark. I appreciate those comments, and this is Alex Granados. And just so you understand, I get it. I get what you're saying. Our challenge here for us specifically was when I arrived was that enrollment was under student life. And
right.
It's taken me a while to make sure we transitioned from that model. And probably why we were fundamentally struggling as an institution.
Okay.
And why I eventually hired Dr. Bailey to come in, and then eventually have brought Cody on board to be here with us. So I appreciate your words, and I agree.
Okay. Well, continue toward that model to where Cody, if he's your man, Cody can have time with you every week. It won't work if you don't. So continue. If Cody's the guy, you know, I have 10 or 12 reports. I don't care what the books say and theory says. I do what it takes to run the organization. So I give each of them 30 minutes, and that 30 minutes is the most critical of the week. In fact, my admissions person gets an hour every week. The rest get 30 minutes. So it gives you a little bit of the importance. So if you see the beginning, we develop a lead. Secondly, the key component of Cody is to then develop a lead generation culture. And you say, what does that mean? Well, first of all, everyone in the organization, including the president, brings leads every week to the admissions office. So I was out this weekend, and I was recruiting. I was at a Bob Evans. I recruited a student to Ohio Christian. I asked for her name and her phone number and asked her if she was interested in college. In fact, I asked college first and then name and phone number. She gave it to me. I gave her my business card. I brought that back to my team, and I recruited a student this weekend. I was on Facebook. I had a person ask me about Ohio Christian because I send out something every week about Ohio Christian. She said, my daughter would like to come. Would you give me some info? That student is coming to Ohio Christian. That happened this week. So the president sets the standard that every week I will recruit 2, 3, 4, 5 students. Everywhere I go, I'm selling the school, I'm recruiting, I'm bringing back a name. It's a very practical step, but it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's sharing pictures, the choir singing, it's sharing the picture, our soccer team's playing, it's sharing the picture. One of our students won an award for being the best leadership student and received $5,000 from a local business. It's constantly creating a lead generation culture, and I require that of faculty. I require that of students. We don't require it of students. I even ask students and give them up to $100. Every student can receive $100 a semester without breaking federal financial aid laws. If they will send us 5 names of their best friends who will come to school, we recruit. We get web-based leads. Everyone's focused on leads in every way. That's how you start a culture. And now at Ohio Christian, in 1 week, we had 201 applications last week. And that was in our online programs. But it's because every faculty, every staff, every student is sending out and posting something about Ohio Christian and getting responses and generating what I like to call a recruiting buzz. Wow, what's going on at Ohio Christian? I got hit 7 times. It's the old adage of if you hit someone, it's just the way our bodies are made, our minds are made. If you hit them 3 times with 3 different approaches to media, whether visual, hearing, sight, or a visual would be sight, tactilely sending an ad into paper. So if a person sees a paper ad, hears a radio ad, and sees a Facebook ad, and maybe receives a letter, that heightens the awareness to where decision urgency comes in. and then students start looking at your school in a more profound way or a more real way than they would have earlier. So that's the first step. I tried when I came to create a culture of recruitment. And faculty don't like it, but now they do. They understand it. They understand they get paychecks increased because they recruited more students, and they were involved. So this summer, for instance, all of our faculty are involved in recruiting current students who are here, because we lose students over the summer. So now we have a app set up where they can contact the students through the summer, say, I'm praying for you, I love you, what can I do for you, how could I help you, do you need any job this summer, whatever. Faculty now stay in touch. It's a requirement as part of their contract that they stay with students through the summer and keep them engaged, and increases our retention. So it's a recruiting job. That's part of what we do at Ohio Christian. So everybody recruits every day, 24 hours a day. Now, honestly, that they really don't do it that much, but everybody's thinking recruiting. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, keep going, Josh. The enrollment keys, first of all, is to look at it as a business. You cultivate a business mindset. So what we did here was, after we set that culture up, then we track. We have metrics where I know how many leads are coming in every month. Or every week, not every month. Every week, I know who has sent those leads in. I encourage recruiting through multiple ways. Like I told all the staff last year, we were trying to get a large January start for our online program. So I said to the whole university, okay, this afternoon's recruitment afternoon. If we recruit 100 recruits this afternoon, get 100 leads in, the whole university is shutting down for this afternoon, then you get an extra day off at Christmas. That means we're closed for the whole week. We already gave them 3 days, and the way it was sitting, they would get the whole week off. So things like that to encourage and create, Mr. President, that ethos of recruitment. But then knowing my metrics, what did I say? 100 recruits. I knew if I hit it or not. I didn't just say that. I had someone tracking. So I've got numerous metrics that Josh and I can share with you in time to show you how we track. If we hire a recruiter, they do meet their goals. My job, the team's job, is to get them the leads till they meet the goals, and their job is to make sure that's completed. So we track leads to applications to starts. And we have a marketing budget that really has been invested in heavily. When I first came, they spent about $40,000 a year on marketing. Today we spend $5 million. Now that's because we've grown so much. But I cut other budgets to find $50,000 when I came, because there was nothing else. I said we have to spend $100,000 this year, not $40,000. So I cut other budgets to create a marketing and recruitment budget, and I invested. Investing in a marketing and recruitment budget will align with having a vice president who aligns with having metrics, who aligns with seeing your growth start. So it's that business mindset. Every week, I meet with my VPs. Every week, that VP reports not only to me but to the whole ad council. This morning, I've been gone for a week. This morning I called. My first call was to the vice president of admissions. Okay, where are we? On traditional campus, our goal is 500. He said we have 324 registered. We have 15 new already registered, which took us up to 339. And then he said to me, we have already 200 applications for this coming fall. So, Mr. President, you're going to have 550 on the campus this fall. He said, I can almost guarantee you 550. Because he said, my goal is 250 applications. We're at 339 returning. And so that's our growth pattern has been to hit 25 a year of growing the campus, because we were having to build buildings and expand. So we're doing it slowly. But we just don't miss our goals. We always hit our goals. Because all year, every year, my first call, this morning, as president, was, where are we on our goals? What the president makes important is what the university will make important. And that is a key statement I can't overemphasize enough. So we plan, we announce it publicly, we execute the plan, and everybody on campus knows. Do we meet it or do we not meet it? And then we have this thing called the Circle Maker book. You've heard of that. I took that with my team, and so we pray a circle around our campus of admissions. I walk, I pray daily around our goals, saying, Lord, for your good and your glory, help us to meet these. And our team prays. And we fasted and prayed for 40 days around enrollment goals, because we're not just a business, we're doing kingdom work. So that's a critical component as we go forward.
And one thing I would add there is the S-curve aspect. When you think about the population of your student body, it's on a normal curve. Usually when you're running a program, the S-curve is not there. If you're just doing a regular thing, it's just a normal curve. It has a peak point and then it starts to decline. Well, what you need to do is, as you're hitting a peak, add a new program, and you begin to create an S-curve as it goes up. You stack normal curves of program life cycle on there, and that's where you get to the attitude of, we're always looking for the new thing that is meeting the new demand. That's another key to that enrollment process.
We never change our mission. We're always looking for new programs to add to the mission. So the mission is going forward. We can do that and reach that in multiple ways. Methodologies or new programs will come along. So we constantly are adding new programs and new ideas to make our programs go forward. Any thoughts, questions so far?
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay. The next thing is lead generation. I talked just a little about lead generation. So what we are trying to do, to be honest, is get as many as we can by word of mouth. But we also know that in order to grow, we may have to use radio, TV, billboards, print, and a call to action. Let me just say what most places do that is embarrassing for their organizations. Most will just put up the name, Southeastern Bible College. If you just put up the name on a billboard or a radio ad or a print ad and don't say, sign today, enroll today, the way the mind works psychologically is we have to be stimulated to a call to action. And so I don't put up big billboards. I just saw one that's amusing to me of a school. I was in Chicago this weekend for higher learning accreditation, but I saw a billboard. And so they put all these words and all these pictures, and they're thinking people are going to see the action. I couldn't even see the school's name, and I couldn't see any requirement. I went to the Chicago Cubs baseball game. Had never been. Someone said, let's go, so I went to a Cubs baseball game. There was a school advertising there. No name, or their name was there, some message that I never did understand the whole 7 innings I was there. And I didn't ever see a number or a website to call. So when you do print, TV, billboards, here's all Mark Smith cares about. Ohio Christian University and a website. So as large as you can be and enroll today. So Ohio Christian University, enroll today. 5 or 6 words is all you need, as large as you can get on a billboard, because they're going 60 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour. Enroll today, and then your website as large as can be, or a 1-800 toll-free number is what we do. And we call them to action. We do all kinds of online advertising, which is very inexpensive. Let me give you an example. Every week, Dr. Smith posts a vlog, V-L-O-G, not B as in boy, but V as in video. Vlog. I post one every week. I have built up followers now to where I have had as many as 100,000 people view my vlog, which is a 1, 2, or 3 minute video of, prayer. I'll talk about prayer. I'll talk about what's the university's goals, or I'll talk about how do you handle refugees that are coming into America, or some contemporary issue. I boost that for $10. The most we've ever spent is $100 on Facebook, and we'll have 100,000 hits. It's so inexpensive if you learn how to use media. Social media, paid lead companies. We don't use as many paid leads as we used to. There's a few good companies, but many of them are selling you the University of Phoenix leads. So you really have to do your homework, and at a later session we can talk to, Josh has actually a consultant to talk you through the whole idea of paid leads and how we can work those and the whole web media. But online advertising is critical. We get now 70%, 75% of our leads through online, and I'm sure you're seeing that as well. But if you don't have a simple website that's easy to track, if somebody hits your website, you should know immediately who they are. It's easy to track them. Just some data analytics that cost almost nothing to do. It's just making sure your website's built right, and that's a whole nother discussion. Referrals, and then students that are finishing the program, we always ask for 5 of their names, and then we get them to go from the AA to BA to the BA to the MBA, and the MBA on up to the doctorate that we're now planning and proposing. The other thing we do is all kinds of partnerships. Everywhere you can imagine. We go to community colleges. Friday I was with Southern State Community Colleges. It has 5 campuses around the state, and their president and I have lunch, and Mr. President, here's where your value is. I always ask for community college residents. I take them out, I buy them lunch, and say, can we come in and recruit there? We have programs that are different than others that you might have on your campus. I always get an agreement, simple agreement, and I will get 500 students of my 5,000 this year from community colleges, if I estimate. And then I'm constantly, when I have a lead, I'm constantly remarketing to that lead. Most people don't realize when you get a lead, they'll say, well, that didn't pan out. Well, 6 months later, it might. And we get about 10 to 15% of our leads through remarketing. Questions?
Just curious, when you started after referrals, which would be the next one that you would focus on in terms of marketing of the list that you had up there?
Well, we are big in traditional advertising still, but partnerships are huge. It only takes, I call partnerships the multiplier effect. So like this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia, we signed an agreement with Community College in Atlanta, Georgia for our site there, and that community college is huge, and their president had us in for a graduation day, and we had tables set up, and those multiplier effects, I think we got 200 or 300 leads. You know, just big things can happen if somebody's in the community college because they want a bachelor's. I love partnerships. I just signed one with Ohio Health. I do it with corporations also, not just community colleges. And Ohio Health has 27,000 employees. Tomorrow I will be in front of their 500 executive leaders, and we'll tell them that we have a new partnership. It's a one-day training that Ohio Christian is doing for Ohio Health. We brought in Dr. John Maxwell, and that will lead to hundreds of employees signing up from Ohio Health with us. I think that would, and then we always, if we're in an area, we run newspaper ads. We do small ads, 3x5s. We do radio, Christian radio, constantly. I don't know that you can put one over the other. We're just doing them all right now in a major way.
What are you offering the community colleges when you partner with them?
Many times we will tell them we'll give them 10% for their library budget, but most of them just want you in there because they're under the gun to get to make sure that everything's their graduation rates or transfer rates are high. So most of them will work with you.
Yeah, I've been reaching out to a bunch of them here, and they've seemed pretty open to us going to campuses there. So we actually have a meeting with one next week to recruit on their campus. So I was just wondering, kind of what you were doing when you were getting there to solidify those partnerships, because they seem pretty open to that.
Josh, why don't you talk just a moment about how many leads have been generated?
So when you think about your lead process of looking at your overall picture, it's not, and I don't think I have it in this presentation, there isn't a silver bullet that is going to do everything for you. It's really going to be a combined effect of a little of this, a little of that. It's a pie that you're developing your practice, and you're using it, and you're spending it in these various areas. You're putting your efforts in these various areas to really generate the leads that you need, and you're looking at ways that you're going to do it. You guys have had the access to the online web training program, and that's one of the ways it's been very effective for a number of clients, is to set up your website to grab your own organic leads using Google AdWords and Bing AdWords, and those methods are some of the ones that are really doing well for a lot of our clients right now. To really think through that process of, okay, this is who we are. We're sharing this on the web in a way that is pointing people to our website. When they seek this in our area, they're getting pointed to us, and that's a big part of the practice right now. So I would certainly encourage that to be one that you're going to do that. That, of course, is going to require some money, but it's extensively less expensive than going and buying them from a third-party lead company. Not that that's a bad way to do it. You can have that as part of your portfolio, but generating your own leads on your own website using landing pages and et cetera, your social media practices, those are going to be some of the strongest ways to generate leads for your institutions.
Josh?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things, just to add in on that, the social media piece, we, a year ago, had only 30 to 40 leads a month coming in on our website. Today, we have 2,000 to 3,000 leads a month coming in on our website. And one of the things we had to do was redesign our website for marketing and selling. We had everything on the book on our website. Now, if you notice, all that comes up is programming for Ohio Christian University and selling that. And so go ahead, Josh. I just wanted to throw that in because you've got to have that component if you're going to use the social media and your website and online as well. Sure
thing. Yeah, and the aspect of putting together your plan is part of what we've been helping you do. We developed the marketing plan. David took a next step of walking you through the action plan to implement, and those pieces are part of the process. You've gone through the training as well, and now he's doing the mentoring with you to really focus you on, okay, here's your plan. Now how are we going to execute effectively? And because if you're not paying attention to what it is you need to be about, you'll find 100 different things that you can do with your time during the day. But lead generation has always got to be the focus. This aspect of how many leads have we generated today, and that sense of urgency is absolutely vital to developing your leads.
That urgency word is critical. In fact, out of 100,000 successful businesses in America, the most successful 100,000 businesses, the word urgency was the most used word. And so if the president's not asking how many leads did we get today, my team knows when Dr. Smith comes around. It's funny, they love it now. I joke with them. But I look and say, how many leads we get today? My VP knows that. my recruiters, if they see them, my basketball coach and soccer coach, every day it's a joke, but I'll say, who'd you recruit today? You don't win national championships by playing basketball in the season. You win them on the day when you sign the recruits. You don't grow an organization by not learning. So I've created a culture, been here 11 years, so it's not an offensive culture, but everybody knows. If I see a religion faculty, okay, who are the 5 students you're working with to recruit for next year? Who are you developing as your all-stars? They know I'm going to ask that. They know when I come to faculty meeting and speak every month, I'm going to have an enrollment report. I'm going to ask the registrar how many of our kids have signed up for next year's classes. That's going to be an open discussion in front of everyone. If we're not doing well, we'll brainstorm for 5 minutes how to do well. We create a culture to where everybody knows enrollment's the most important thing. Because if we don't get them here, nobody gets a paycheck, nobody's going to go forward. It's not a threat. It's a reality. They know their salaries have jumped from $27,000 on average when I came to almost $55,000 now. They see the results of growth, and they understand it. And I tell them, people first. So I'm not going to build buildings. I'll raise money to build buildings, but we're not building buildings on your finance budget. Or this is the recruitment budget will pay you, and the operational budget will pay you. It goes to you. So that sort of comes along. So how many leads, Mr. President? You got to ask that every day.
Yes, sir.
I hope you're having fun with me because I love this stuff.
Well, what you have with Oren and myself, we both come from a business background.
You got it, then.
and then, I mean, I think it's the culture of I was excited to come be the president and trying to create this culture here. And I think it's good for the staff to not only hear it. I think for Cody, he's been a great asset to our team, and he gets that. But this is the message we got to go and communicate clearly to the rest of our staff, and very affirming of what we're praying and desiring to do. So, thank you for all that you're sharing. It's very encouraging. So I'm going to ask Cody how many.
As far as the marketing.
All right, brother. Please continue.
Cody, if you haven't recruited me yet, Cody, you haven't done your job.
I know. I've been working hard here since I've got in. It was kind of a bit of a mess coming in, but we're making progression for sure.
Yeah. Always. It may have been a mess, but always project where you're going. That's always the key. Let's talk a little about enrollment formula that I've found for the last 10 years here and 20 years where I was at Indiana Wesleyan before. The marketing budget is critical, and you just, as business people, you know this. I was paying $1,700 per student for every student I recruited. I don't know what your numbers are, but you should know those. Today, I've been able to lower that to $1,200 per student because I'm constantly working on. Every recruiter recruits 75 students per year, and they don't do less. Many of them will do 150 or 100. That a 75, and I've let some get by with 60, but not many do. In online, most of my recruits recruit as many as 150 to 200 in online programs. But I also reward them accordingly. You can't pay them by the number they recruit, but you can definitely give salary advances for good performance for the year. But the bottom line is these things never fail. If I spend $1,200 on the right marketing, I will always get a student. It just does not fail. And places that try to only spend $200, they get the results of $200. I have worked and worked and worked. So this next year, I know right now I'm recruiting 4,000 students. We have to recruit 4,000 students next year to meet our enrollment goals. So I know that my enrollment budget, marketing budget, is going to be $5 million. It's 4.8, but I'm going to give her $5 million because that formula never fails. And if I do the right mixture of advertising, lead generation, marketing, I will get the results, which this year I think we're hitting right now at 108% of our goals. So, you know, it's not something I'm playing with. So I don't try to adjust that downward. You can know that number's close. You're going to have to spend that. So next year, I don't know what your enrollment is right now, but if you wanted to go up 100 students, just count on it. You're going to need $1,200. So how much are you going to raise? How are you going to get that? That's where, as president, I'll go out and raise whatever I have to. I'll cut budgets whatever I have to make sure that we meet that $100 or 100 students. And that's just a simple formula. That's the way it works. It's marketing. It's proven true. I've driven it down from 1,700 to 1,200, but very few places can do less. Now, a startup can because they're creating a lot of buzz, but many times you have to spend a little more in startups too. And you've got to hold a recruitment team to high level. So here's the thing I say. I hire recruiters for $35,000. That's what I pay. A recruits me 75 students. Anyone worth anything is going to do 50 to 75, okay? 50 students, I don't know what you charge, but here at OI Christian, that's going to generate me enough money to hire another recruiter next year. And the way a business works, as you guys know, since you're businessmen, if I want to grow next year, I got to have 2 recruiters. Next year, I'll have 3. When I started, I had 1 recruiter here 10 years ago. Today, I have 61 recruiters. That gives you an idea of how you have to keep growing the business, and you have to keep creating the marketing budget. If you do those things, those 2 things, hire recruiters and put marketing budget, you will grow like a weed, fast, 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 fast. And my job as president is to make sure they have those resources, and that's what I do. The way we grow is through new programs, new locations, efficiencies, and new formats. That's the way we grow. So we've come up with all kinds of new designs and new programs to make them more efficient. We've got something now called the, what is it called? Carousel model. And that's an efficiency where we were having cohorts start with 10 or 12 students, and we wanted to do that because we knew our break-evens were 4. We knew they would drop down to 4, but 4 was not an optimal class size, so we started dropping students in and made it a carousel to where now we have always 8, 10, 12 in our classes. And that keeps generating revenue, and we can drop students in all along the way. And that's easy to do once you figure it out with financial aid. We have 51 starts a year in our financial aid model. So a student can start any week they want to start with financial aid, and it's just a matter of figuring out that financial aid process. And we've had tremendous success using that and building that. So that gives you a little idea. So you got, each year, my goal is to start 3 new programs. That grows us. 1 or 2 new locations. I like to get them donated, or we may go to a hospital. This year we went to a hospital. We're going to a new church of about 10,000. They have classrooms and ask us to come and share. So we'll have 100, 200 students at that site. We did another church that's already got 200 students at its site. We just go in and do the recruiting and work close with the pastor, and we pay them $100 a night for any room we use. Is the way that model works, and that growth goes forward. The new formats means we are rolling out new online initiatives, or like this year, our focus is on competency-based. We're rolling out a new competency-based ministry model that we think will hit 100,000 students before it's done. We want to touch the world for Christ in a major way. And I know those sound like big numbers, but remember when I came, we had 300, and I said we're going to 2,000, and everybody laughed. Well, now we're almost 5,000. It's just setting up constantly new creative ideas to grow the organization. The president's role is the most critical, and it sounds like you really understand that already. You got to hold the team accountable. You got to create urgency. You've got to constantly ask about leads. Weekly, I meet with my enrollment person. If I'm not here, they send me a report by Thursday at 5 p.m. If I don't get it at 5:02, I will be asking them where the report is. I mean, it's that kind of high accountability that they love. I pay them well. We work together well. They're great people. And I love my team, and they know it. But I have high expectations. I just had a team member that I hired, came in and worked 3 months and resigned yesterday, Friday, and said, I can't meet your team's performance level. Didn't want to work, to be real honest, a vice president. But I've learned that there are a lot of people who do want to work and get purpose out of that because they understand the kingdom impact. Okay, Josh. The role of the recruiting director. You've got to partner with the president and the leadership team. I never will hire a recruiting director who throws me an excuse. I will not accept an excuse from a recruiting director. Well, there's too much competition. Baloney. I won't accept that. Well, we don't have good systems. Change them. Well, we don't know how to learn how. My team is absolutely expected to work with the president, and I will teach them and train them and love them. I've fired one person in my whole time in 10 years here. So that tells you I'm not a fire person. I'm not a dictator. I'm not that kind of person. High expectations. What do you need to get the job done is what I ask. And then let's make it happen. And your role as a recruiting director is to say, man, I'm going to build a system so good that it just begins to operate itself. And I really have a vice president now who's done that. She's doing her doctorate right now, and she can be gone for 3 weeks this summer, 4 weeks this summer. I've given her 4 weeks off this summer, and we won't miss a beat because she's got all her team performing at the levels they need to, with the number of direct reports to her. And I'll keep an eye on it. They all know I'll keep an eye on it, but it's just the way things work. We establish clear goals. I know what they are. They go over and present them to me. I know where we're going. And we look at who's graduating, how many we're having as dropouts, like in online. Just count on it. You're going to lose about 50% in online. We build that in. When you're smaller, you don't lose quite that much, but when you get our size, you do. And to be honest, that's about 30% higher than many of the big schools do. They are down 16-20% in online. But we're in the first semester this time we held on to 84% of our students. But by next year, this time that will again lessen. But hold the team accountable with metrics and help the team work the lead. That's my goal. You shouldn't be in meetings all the time, director. You gotta make sure the team is recruiting. We look constantly to reach our recruits within 15 to 20 minutes of when they've contacted us. Phoenix is going to be within 1 to 2 minutes. It used to be within a couple of days. Now, if a person sends us an interest card or online, checks us out, especially online, or calls, they will have someone responding to them immediately. That's our goal. And I don't care if 200. We now have some automated processes to where they will at least get some type of response. We also have a communication plan where they get texts, letters, phone calls, emails. If they're 25 or under, texting's the big thing. A lot of them do. So we use a lot of that. And then we try to engage in meaningful conversations to really earn their trust. We do focus on retention too. So that's why we continue to work the lead over and over and over and do the remarketing bit. And even if a person signs up with us, takes 3 classes, there is very likely they will re-enroll with us to finish their degree because we don't let them die out there somewhere. So those are critical components. The role of the recruiter: hire you some recruiters, minimally 75 students per year. They may need maybe to start the first year, and help them learn how to generate their own leads and work the leads. Just as I go to Bob Evans, Kroger's, Walmart, and sign up people to go to our programs, I find out they're people that want to be at a Christian university. They're Christians. They want some type of program we're offering. Then I get them signed up. I steal them right away from the other state schools. The recruiter has to be that type of person. If they can't talk to you and can't work and can't get things done when they interview, they sure won't be any good at recruiting. You've got to help them understand that. Or you've got to understand that and know that about them. So hire some car salesman-y type people who are Christian, who know how to sell and know how to recruit and know how to get the job done. At Kansas Christian University, we hired a guy who was in car sales for a year, and that guy set the place on fire out there. A great Christian alum that they had, and he came in and wanted to be in the work of the Lord, and man, he's got sales ability. So that's one example. Not all car salesmen would I hire, or salespersons would I hire, as you wouldn't either. But be looking for a person who can recruit, talk, sell, tell how great your university is. We hire a number of our alums now. Man, we love to hire our alums because they know what we're about, and we just hire them and pay them a salary, and they recruit, and they do a great job. So that's the first session. That gives you an idea of how to create the culture and ethos of a recruiting culture on campus.
Quick question. The 75 students per year, is that traditional, online, or both?
Both.
Okay.
We do both. Some traditional fight harder to get to 75. They may get 60, 55, 60. But no way will I allow a traditional recruiter to only recruit 20 students or 25. Just not going to happen. You can't afford to have them there. You know, you want to. They've got to learn how to recruit students and get them in.
And because the traditional student is a more expensive student, if they're not holding that number for the traditional side, boy, it adds up much more quickly to pay their salary.
Okay.
What other questions?
Now, when you say recruit 75 students per year, are you talking about generating new leads, or are you talking about actually enrollments?
Enrollments.
Enrollments, okay.
A team, we may have a singing group go out and come in with 20 cards from the weekend. Those are divided up among our recruiters. They have to recruit 75 of those. Or they have to personally get on Facebook and get some of their own too. But we will generate the leads for them. And then they personally have to get all the paperwork in, recruit them in, tell them how great the school is. They take them from the moment they get that name and address, and they recruit 75 of them in for the year.
Okay.
So they got to handhold them for 6 months if they have to make sure they enroll. That admissions process is critical. We can't talk about that today. But if you're taking 6 weeks to do an admissions process, you're in trouble. Students want to know now whether you will accept them or not. And we figure out every way to get their materials so we can give them a quick turnaround, including going and getting their transcripts for them.
What's a typical turnaround time from getting the lead to, decision to enroll?
I don't have that number right in front of me,
Okay.
but I know if they give us a transcript of their high school classes, not an original, we can get all that later, and they have the application filled out, we allow our admissions team to say you meet and qualify, and they can get a preliminary approval within a day or two.
What's your application include? Because right now we have so much stuff with ours, it's a little ridiculous to get them through.
Our application's one page.
One page, no referrals or anything like that as part of it?
If they're going into ministry programs, yes. We have to have a character reference, but we can get all that later. We can give them provisional minutes based on that application, and usually, I don't know, I'd have to look at it now. I haven't seen it in a little while, but we got it down to one page front and back. Is what you could go online and find out what it is. But
okay. I'll check it out.
You've got to cut down pages. Students today won't fill out pages and pages of application. Yeah. Forget it. And many Bible colleges, and I love Bible colleges. I'm chair of the board, okay? But many Bible colleges will have them write essays, and they'll have them write 5-page Christian testimony, and they'll have them give 6 character witnesses and all that. And it's just knocking them out, man, because they'll go to another place so fast it's not funny. And they may be exactly the student you want.
Well, I think that this is, I guess the big question when you are a more historic fundamentalist school, because they believe that unless you go through the ordination gauntlet type of questionnaire before admittance, you are committing sacrilege and abomination of desolation upon the altar of your admissions process. Which you go, okay, I don't know how many youth pastors I know that filled out the all kinds of things for kids. Because sometimes I think that's the process. We expect almost a PhD level type of answer of a 17-year-old through the process.
Right.
So I think that sometimes, as much as we don't practice open enrollment and we don't want a Christian testimony, it's like we make it where it's horribly intimidating. Or that now when a student is used to having an attention span of about 3 to 5 minutes at the most, that if I'm going to have you sit down and have to spend hours doing this, I've lost them.
Yep, you are so on it, and I'm a Bible college grad, so I totally understand. I filled out all the forms and did all the things but we're turning out. What we've done is done a reverse of that process. If you feel like you want to be an Ohio Christian, and you say, I am a Christian, and God's potentially calling me to something, and you have a GPA high enough to get in, and ACTs that we want, which we are still open admissions, so, 18 or 20 is going to get it. We're going to take you, and while you're here, you will be expected in your first class or two to have character references. You will be expected. They do all kinds of things to build that into the program rather than a barrier to admissions. So if you knew Dr. Smith, my big beef is don't make barriers to admissions. Make barriers to getting ordained. And when they're here, they won't go and be ordained unless they've met every requirement. See where I'm going?
That's a challenge we've had here, because when it was under Student Life operates to want to have a certain profile of a student that makes their job easy. So they, in a sense,
do you know with our... Yeah, I got you. Do you know how many drug incidents we had on our campus here at Ohio Christian? Do you know how many drug incidents we had last year? 1.
Nope.
1?
Most Bible colleges had more. Am I what?
Are you confessing? You were the one? Okay.
No, I'm not the one. No. My point is, if you set the right culture, those people will quickly select out of your institution.
Correct.
If you have a student life culture that's Christ-centered and biblically based, and we meet all ABHU requirements, I got to report this morning for our 10-year review. We got 10 years and everything was met, every single thing. Okay, so there's no issue. Then all that the accreditors could say, wow, how biblically based. Wow, you're so Christ-centered. Wow, your students are serving the world unbelievably. That's what they walked away with, outside peers. And it was done in a application basis, and that did not require barriers every way you turned. It just takes strong leadership. If I get a drug incident, it's over. If I get other incidents I can name, we just have a no-tolerance policy. If they need counseling, we'll get them counseling or whatever to the right place. But you're not going to live here and do drugs. Those kinds of things. So just letting you know, you could come to our campus just as the peer reviewers did, and we had tougher accreditors, and you could see you don't have to go to hell in a handbasket because you change your application process.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
That's it for me. You guys have anything?
Maybe that'll get you started, guys. Love you guys. Praying for you. We need you to succeed. Need all of our Bible colleges to grow, and God help them. So, thank you.
No, thank you. This is very helpful and very, very affirming. I appreciate what you also said. This is kingdom work, and everybody has to be on board with what we want to do. The reality is we do have a harvest out there. It is plentiful. We just got to get the laborers out there to go get it done.
That's right.
And Mr. President, let me just challenge you. I've got scars on my back, but they're good scars. Stand and be courageous and lead. Do what you know is right, and do it kindly and be gracious and love people, and you will take your place where you need to go. Don't ever forget to lead forward, and I'll take the stripes over any day. Because look what's happened at Ohio Christian, because I was willing to take on those faculty who had been here 40 years who were going to fight me tooth and nail, but God intervened and helped us through, and I got scars to prove it, but it's worth it.
Well, thank you for the personal encouragement, and I will take it not only to heart, but to action.
God bless you.
Thanks so much for your time today, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Josh,
Yes.
do you send us a PowerPoint slide for this?
Yeah, I'm going to actually put the recording of this on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to re-access the whole thing.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and also you'll send us a copy also of the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Josh,
have a great day.
All right.
Josh.
Yes. Appreciate it.
Yes, Mark.
I'm heading to Dayton to do a presentation for presidents of colleges and universities. So I'll be on the road starting at about 2. If you need to call me, I'll be. Okay. Thank